morning, students. Welcome to another session of current affairs. Right. Today's our first topic is the Antarctica's ice is turning green. Antarctica loni khandam ice anta aakupachaga maarutundi. Let us try to know what are the reasons behind it. Right. So first let us discuss something about Antarctica. Antarctica is the fifth largest continent in the world. Aido ati pedda khandam. Its area is 14.2 million square kilometers. And it is twice the size of Australia, and it is more than four times the size of India. Right. So this is a rough map of Antarctica. Pardon me if it's looking bad, but this is the rough map of Antarctica. This is called Eastern Antarctica. East Antarctica ice sheet. East Antarctica ice sheet, and this is West Antarctica. And this is the peninsula of Antarctica. The peninsula region of Antarctica. So recently the Cambridge University and British Antarctica Survey had done some research on this peninsular area of Antarctica. They have found that the ice sheet on this peninsular region was turning green. Why was this? When they studied that, they have came to know that algae was blooming on the peninsular region, on the coastal region of this peninsula, and the small islands located on this peninsular region. Algae, which is called Shaivalalu, Silmadralu in Telugu. Dani Pachi and kuda pilustaru. So these actually algae are microscopic singular cellular organisms. Microscopic. But when there are growing on a large scale, like colonies and colonies of algae, then this ice sheet, on this ice sheet, they will grow, and that's why they will appear green in color. Now you have understood that what is the reason. And what is the reason behind this? Because the global warming, the change in the climates has been boosting this up, right? And mainly on this coastal region, in this peninsular region, this activity is more. You must know first 2 points. Out of the total Antarctica, only 0.18% is vegetated, and the land which is on this peninsula, which is vegetated, is around 1.8%. So this amount of algae, the ice sheets which are turning green due to this algae, are also be seen from the space, right? So this is mainly because of global climate change. What happens is, in this peninsular region, the penguins and the birds which survive mainly on this peninsular region, because there is a climate difference. Ikkadiki ee main East Antarctica sheet ki temperature lo chala vyathyasam untundi. There is a lot of difference in temperature in that region, and mainly penguins live on these coastal areas for their survival, for their food and other purposes. And this excreta from these penguins and the excreta from the birds is acting as source for nutrition for this algae, right? So what does scientists think? Scientists ఏమనుకుంటున్నారంటే, ఇప్పుడు algae is growing on these coastal regions of Antarctica. Algae will act as a nutrition source for another organisms, and the total scenario of Antarctica might be changing, because based on one organism, another organism will grow, and second organism, third organism will grow. So total scenario, the scenario of the Antarctica will be changing. And why is this happening? Only because of global warming, change in climate temperatures. And scientists believe that this algae, for this photosynthesis process, absorb lot of carbon dioxide every year. We know carbon dioxide is getting accumulated here on the near Antarctica. That is which is causing the global warming, and that is the reason for the photosynthesis activity also. Right? That's how algae is surviving. Apart with the algae, there is moss. నాచు, తెలుగులో నాచు అంటారు. యు మస్ట్ హ్యావ్ సీన్, మీ ఇళ్లలో కూడా కొన్ని పాత ఇళ్లలో ఎక్కడైతే తడి ఎప్పుడు ఏర్పడుతుంటుందో వాటర్ ట్యాంక్స్ దగ్గర కానీ ఎక్కడైతే వాటర్ లీకేజ్ ఉంటుందో అది ఇక్కడ మాస్ ఫార్మ్ అవుతుంది, నాచు ఫార్మ్ అవుతుంది, రైట్. దట్ ఈస్ ఆల్సో టర్నింగ్ సమ్ పార్ట్స్ ఆఫ్ అంటార్క్టికా ఇంటూ గ్రీన్. So mainly the activity of algae and moss is turning Antarctica into green, the ice sheets into the green color, not Antarctica mainly. The ice sheets of Antarctica mainly on these islands is turning green. How much of Antarctica is turning green? So at present scenario, there are 1679 algae blooms, which is covering an area of 1.9 square kilometers. You must be thinking, Antarctica is such a huge continent which is 14.2 million square kilometers. What will happen by 1.9 kilometers square of algae is being there? But what you have to understand is, before 50 years, this growth of algae was not so fast. But in the recent 50 years, what's happening is, due to this global warming, lot of carbon isotope accumulation is happening near Antarctica. And you know, lot of carbon dioxide means lot of photosynthesis. And when photosynthesis is happening on a large scale, these organisms also will grow on a very large scale. And what will happen if even if some part of Antarctica ice gets melted, even if some amount of ice, some part of this Antarctica ice gets melted, the sea levels will rise to such extent that all the coastal areas of the world will be at threat, you know. All the coastal areas, low-lying areas of this world are at threat. So this should be controlled. The global warming of this world should be controlled, and all these leaders should take some action regarding that. So that was a small topic about why the ice sheets of Antarctica are turning green, right. Our next topic is Earth's magnetic field is weakening. You must be knowing that we have a magnet. This Earth has a magnetic field which is protecting us from the radiation of the outer space, from the charged particles of the outer space, from the solar winds of the from the sun. So this Earth's magnetic field is protecting us from the charged particles of the sun and the outer space, and from the solar winds also. So, recently what was in news is that the Earth's magnetic field is weakening. So why is that? Why is that happening? So before going deep into that, let us understand some basic concepts. Right. You know, the Earth is made up of core, mantle and crust. Core, mantle and crust. Right? Let us assume this is the inner core. This is the inner core, and this is the outer core. The inner core of the Earth is in solid state. It also comprises of mainly two components, that is iron and nickel. But the inner core of the Earth is mainly solidified. అత్యధిక ఉష్ణోగ్రత పీడనం వల్ల ఈ ఇన్నర్ కోర్ సాలిడ్ ఫామ్లో ఉంటుంది. బట్ వెన్ ఇట్ కమ్స్ టు ది అవుటర్ కోర్ is in liquid form, molten form, and its major components are also iron and nickel. You know, this here the molten lava will be moving in currents, right? This movement in currents, and this convection of currents releases some energy, and this is called geodynamo. This concept is called geodynamo because some amount of energy is released, and this convection of currents is present in the outer core. And you know, the flow of iron and nickel are flowing in this currents, and they consist of electrons, and this flow of electrons is creating what is flow of electrons? Flow of electrons is electricity, and due to this activity there is a electromagnetic field around the Earth. Due to this effect, there is an electromagnetic field around the Earth, and this electromagnetic field protects us from this radiation which comes from the space. So recently it was actually this is our North Pole, magnetic North Pole, and this is our magnetic South Pole. So this magnetic North Pole and South Pole move every year. Actually, by previously till 19th century, this was moving at a speed of 10 kilometers per year. But due to this change in flow of this molten lava in this outer core, the magnetic pole is moving at 55 kilometers per year and it is going towards Russia from Siberia, right? For every year, our Earth's magnetic field is decreasing by 5% of its energy. And scientists do not know exactly what is the reason, but they have got many theories regarding that. Even today, at this date, sailors still use compass in their journeys, in their voyages. And the aviaries, birds and fishes, use this Earth's magnetic field for traveling. So what happens if suddenly this Earth's magnetic field is not there? Our Earth will be seriously affected with the radiation from the outer space. Our satellites, our mobile phone, our network communication systems won't work, and these animals also will be severely affected, because since they live on this, due to this magnetic field of Earth, if suddenly this magnetic field disappears, they will die due to confusion. The group of satellites which study about the Earth's magnetism are Swarm constellation of satellites of European Space Agency. Swarm constellation satellites of European Space Agency. Why is the Earth's magnetic field weakening? One theory is that due to this change in the flow of molten lava in the outer core. Another theory is that there is a change in the pattern of the flow. And some scientists mainly believe, the majority of the scientists believe that this magnetic south pole and north pole reverse once in every 250,000 years. And this reversal hasn't happened in the last 780,000 years. That is overdue, right? And that might be a reason for the weakening of the Earth's magnetic field. I hope you understood about this small topic. Our next topic is herd immunity. This was in news lately that previously UK had decided to first implement this strategy in UK, and there was some talks about in India also how will herd immunity work and how it will protect people. We'll try to know in this video. So herd immunity means samuhika pratirakshana, jhund pratiraksha. So the people who are immune in a society will be acting as a buffer zone, and they will be useful in protecting the people who cannot be vaccinated or who will not survive if they are infected with a infection. We all know that this COVID-19 pandemic is throughout the world, and we also know that it's killing a lot of people. 56 lakhs people were infected till yesterday. So at this point of time, people are talking about herd immunity. So what is this herd immunity? We'll try to understand. So we know one thing, that our immune system works against every infection we get. Even if we get small infections, our immune system, the primary immune system, creates antibodies, because as I told you in the previous class, there are specific antibodies for specific infections. Our immune system ప్రతి ఒక్క రోగానికి ఒక ప్రత్యేకమైన యాంటీబాడీని తయారు చేస్తుంది. ఈ ప్రత్యేకమైన యాంటీబాడీస్ వలన మనకు తిరిగి ఆ ఇన్ఫెక్షన్ రాకుండా అవి మనల్ని కాపాడతాయి. సో అలాంటి పరిస్థితుల్లో ఈ హర్డ్ ఇమ్యూనిటీ ఏ రోల్ ప్లే చేస్తుంది అనేది మనం తెలుసుకుందాం. సో లెట్ us థింక్, మీకు ఇక్కడ తెలుసుకోవాల్సిన విషయం ఏంటంటే, ఇఫ్ యు టేక్ ఎన్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఆఫ్ ఇన్ఫెక్షియస్ డిసీజ్, లెట్ us టేక్ ది ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఆఫ్ మీజిల్స్. Measles is a very infectious disease. It will affect, an infected person can affect up to 18 people around him. And this COVID-19, according to this scientist, it can be an infected person of COVID-19 can affect up to 2 to 3 persons around him. Let us think 3 different cities and their scenario, right? There are 3 types of people. First, the healthy people, and they are not immune. Second people, they are immune people. They have either become immune due to recovery after the infection or through a vaccine. Third type of people are infected people who are carrying this infection. In this first scenario, there are a lot of healthy people who are not immune, and there are infected people. As I told you, one infected people will infect 2 to 3 members. So in this scenario, majority of the people are getting infected. When it comes to the second scenario, there are 30% of the population, since 3 out of 10. So it is 30% population are immune, either through vaccine or due to recovery, because they have recovered from a small infection and that infection will not come to them again, and in that way they are. So in this sort of scenario, these infected people will be able to infect 3 members, like naturally what they do in the previous scenario also. What you are observing here is the rate of infection is not spreading as in the first scenario. మొదటి సినారియోలో వాళ్ళు ఇన్ఫెక్ట్ చేసిన మందిని ఈ సెకండ్ సినారియోలో ఇన్ఫెక్ట్ చేయలేకపోతున్నారు. ఎందుకంటే వీళ్ళు ఇమ్యూన్ పీపుల్, వీళ్ళ ద్వారా ఇన్ఫెక్షన్ ముందరికి వెళ్ళదు. So the rate of infection has gradually come down in this second scenario. In this third scenario, 50% of the population are immune, either by vaccine or through recovery. వాళ్ళకి either vaccine ద్వారా immunity వచ్చింది, లేదా వాళ్ళు ఆ వ్యాధి నుంచి కోలుకొని వాళ్ళకి స్వయంగా వాళ్ళు ఇమ్యూన్ సిస్టమ్ నెలకొల్చుకున్నారు అగేన్స్ట్ దట్ ఇన్ఫెక్షన్. సో ఇక్కడ మీరు చూడండి, దిస్ ఇన్ఫెక్షన్ ఈజ్ నాట్ ఎట్ ఆల్ స్ప్రెడింగ్ ఇన్ యాజ్ అ ప్రీవియస్ కేస్. సో ఇలాంటి ఇన్ సచ్ సిచ్యువేషన్స్ వీఆర్ ఏబుల్ టు సేవ్ దోస్ పీపుల్ ఆల్సో. వీఆర్ ఏబుల్ టు సేవ్ ద హెల్దీ పీపుల్ ఆల్సో. వీఆర్ ఆల్సో ఏబుల్ టు సేవ్ ద పీపుల్ టు హూమ్ వ్యాక్సినేషన్ కెనాట్ బి గివెన్, and to those people also who won't survive if they are infected like such a serious infection like COVID-19. So manam into different sort of healthy people unnaru, but oka herd immunity dwara manam we are able to save more people because this infection is seriously controlled, right? Ikkada meer gamaniste ekko maniki infection ellindi. In this scenario, due to this immune people, these people are acting as a buffer zone. They are acting as a shield against this infection. Hence, infected people will be less. So this concept is called herd immunity, samuhika pratirakshana. In order to get herd immunity, what you have to have is the population should be extremely immune to protect the less immune people whose immune is either compromised or who have very much little immune. So why this herd immunity won't work in India? Because there are mainly 3 reasons, guys. The first reason is we do not know about COVID-19 immunity, because in some cases we have seen in China, South Korea, and recently in India also, like Himachal Pradesh, the people who have recovered from COVID-19 also, they have been reinfected. వాళ్ళు రికవర్ అయిన వాళ్ళకు కూడా తిరిగి ఈ వ్యాధి వచ్చింది. So and we do not know we do not have any studies about this immunity towards COVID-19. So it will not work. This is the first problem. Second problem is India has a large population. India has a very large population. And third scenario is what some people say is India has a large population, but majority of India's population is less than 80% of India's population is less than the age of 44. But even then, even though our country is filled with young people, India cannot afford this strategy, because even these people who are below the age of 40 also, they are having some severe underlying conditions. I'll explain to you that. I hope you have understood this herd immunity. What are these underlying conditions? We'll try to understand. 22% of these people who are below the age of 40, 22% of them below the age of 44 are having hypertension. 22% of the people below the age of 44 are having hypertension. They are suffering from blood pressure. And that's and if they are infected with COVID-19, there's a high chance of their death, right? And 40% of these people, 40% of the people who are in the age group of 45 to 54 are having hypertension. 4% of this age group, 4% of age group of 15 to 44 are having type 2 diabetes in our country. And 2.1 million of this age group are having HIV, and 2.1 million people are having HIV in our country, and 80% of this 2.1 million are in this age group. or in the age group of 20 to 44. Understood? Still, even then, for around 4% people are suffering from pulmonary diseases, from lung problems. 3% people are suffering from asthma of this age group, asthma. And 30% of this population have the habit of chewing tobacco, and which will have serious implications on their health. And if these people are infected with COVID-19, their death rate is also will be very high, right? These are few problems. And even if on experimental strategy, if we go for herd immunity, for 1,000 beds, for 1,000 people, we don't have proper beds and ventilators and critical care units of the hospitals. So these are all the severe problems in India if we opt for herd immunity. This is not possible. So actually many are against this herd immunity in India. So apart from, if government, this cannot be used as a single strategy. This cannot be used as a lone strategy. Government should increase the number of tests. Government should see that social distance measures are taken up very seriously by the public. Government should encourage people from gathering in huge crowds, etc. So I hope you have understood about the small topic herd immunity.